Welcome to my channel. My name's Bissy, and if you'd like to know how to break an audience's heart into a million little pieces, well, in my opinion, you need to look no further than the vampire Lestat, formerly Interview with the Vampire. Now, I'm no film critic. I haven't studied film formally, but I am someone who loves this show and the characters within it. Plus, I've got an eye for detail. So in this video, I'll be breaking down how the makers of the show have successfully taken us, the audience, on this ride to heartbreak, and why story and character development are so crucial if your goal is to grip an audience by the heart and then rip it out. And just why we as an audience can't get enough. If you like this type of video, please let me know by hitting like and subscribe. Did you know that only 11% of you are subscribed right now? So it'd be really cool if we can get that number up. Okay, and with that said, let's get into the video. Introduce real stakes early on. The mortal lives of the characters in the show are literally taken. Whether it be out of trauma, by force, or by choice, their lives end. The real burden of receiving and living with the dark gift can never truly be known until our characters are turned. Some take it well, whilst others struggle, not only with their new nature, but when the reality of their entirely new existence sets in, well, the torture truly begins. When you've taken the time to allow your audience to sit with a character in their here and now, at any point in their story, you create an environment that encourages your audience to care. Spending time getting to know the complexities that form the reality of their mortal lives, and then present that character with either a terrible choice or situation, such as their mortal lives ending, well, we as an audience understand what could be lost. We know exactly what will be left behind. Put simply, the stakes feel real for everyone involved. And the consequences are often devastating. Will Louis and Claudia exact their plan? Will Lestat show at the trial? And if so, what will the consequences be? Can Armand keep up with the many lies that form the foundation of his tumultuous relationship with Louis? Is Gabriella's return into Lestat's life disastrous? Will Daniel survive? The answer to these questions would fall completely flat, in my opinion, if the time hadn't been taken early on to allow your audience to understand, even in part, your characters. And ultimately, if the follow-through wasn't as inevitably devastating as we feared. These characters are no longer human, but their experiences tap into universal human feelings like fear, love, loss, and loneliness. Without this human aspect, it would have been impossible for me personally to care about what was at stake, and ultimately, what the fallout would be. Well-written monsters. Most fans of Anne Rice's immortal universe that I've encountered have at least one favourite character. Whether it's Lestat, Louis, Armand, or Claudia, to name but a few, there's one thing that they all have in common. They are monsters. It's easy to forget about their true nature when we become so invested in their stories, their growth, their pains, their loves, but they take mortal lives, some nightly, some for sport, and some very rarely, but they all do. We could be trudging along, invested in coven politics, or a deeply toxic love story, and then bam, a stark reminder of the darkness that lies within every single one of our beloved characters. Our expectations are set from the outset, and yet those expectations are turned upside down at nearly every turn, and we fall for them. And then there's the manipulation, the lies, the games that our immortal friends sometimes play, the get-backs, the brutal attacks, the scheming. I found myself screaming at the screen, hoping that the character that I've come to love doesn't do this terrible thing that's been brewing, but invariably, they always do. Now this breaks my heart and messes with my mind, because I know I'll forgive them. I'll allow for their monstrous deeds because I care so much about them. Well, that doesn't extend to all vampires, just the ones that I like. Bruce and Magnus can remain burned. The characters in this show are shown to do terrible things. However, the writers skillfully avoid falling into the trap of writing cartoonishly evil villains. Then we have the terribly abusive relationships that they're often in. Verbal and physical abuse, stalking, lying, cheating, and of course, plots to end their immortality. Our main characters being on both sides of receiving and perpetrating this abuse. With all this toxicity, why do we still root for these monsters? How can we find grace and sometimes forgiveness for them? Why do we wish for a happy ending for our favourite vampires? Well, I believe it's because they are simply incredibly well-written monsters. I, for one, wouldn't care about a character that didn't make me feel anything, that didn't make me laugh or cry, or make my blood boil. How can I care for a character when I know little to nothing about what motivates them? The answer to that, for me, is that I simply can't. And this show is an incredible example of how amazing writing can take an audience on a ride that can and will break their hearts, but then put them right back together again. Eventually. Casting is key. The casting in this show is impeccable, in my opinion. From Ben Daniels as Santiago, to Sam Rees Lestat, Jacob Anderson's Louis, and of course Assad Zaman's Armand, and Delaney House's Claudia. Every single actor has embodied their characters in ways that I never saw coming. The changes to the books that the writers have made, i.e. the age, race, and physical features, have only improved these characters in my opinion. Now, I know that some people may disagree, but I can only speak from my perspective, I'm afraid. Louis and Claudia not being white in the show brings to their characters a depth through discrimination and a dynamic within a romantic relationship with a white man, especially in the era in which we meet them, that I don't know could have been achieved any other way. Armand being older and so incredibly striking to look at, whilst at the same time having a vulnerability to him, that in my opinion is the only reason I feel anything positive towards the character, is genius. The world weariness of a jaded yet experienced journalist in his 60s brings to Daniel's character an authority that I don't know would have been conveyed as effectively if they had gone with a younger actor than Eric Bogosian. Now, I don't know which came first, the casting or the writing. Like, did they see Sam Reed's audition and decide, look, we've got to make some changes here? Or were they looking for a specific quality in an actor? Either way, I'm so grateful we have the cast we have now, because each and every one of their performances has destroyed me. Louise, Claudia is dead. Armand's, but Amadea had a certain gift. Lestat's, you're going to leave me? Or, Nikki, stop! And Claudia's, I'll find a way. I mean, I could go on, but my point is, the casting is a cherry on top of this stunning show. Compelling dialogue. You're a library of confusion. Yeah? Yeah. September 8th, 1973. There's not enough room in this box for your desperation. It's you and me and you and me. We are now forever separated by a veil, but it is a thin veil. Lestat. These are just some of my favourite lines from the show, but it takes more than a single line to create compelling, believable, and heartbreaking dialogue that grips an audience. Taking in everything we've already discussed, the writers of this show bring it all together with the dialogue. There isn't a single wasted line, in my opinion. Every word is needed, even when it's repeated. For example, of course, as long as you come back to me, of course. Let's take Louis and Armand's fight in San Francisco in 1973, Season 2, Episode 5. It's 3.5 straight minutes of back and forth, talking over each other, saying increasingly more hurtful things to each other. They're fighting, not waiting to say their next line. They've reached a boiling point in their relationship and they're having it out. It's believable, not only because of the incredible acting, but because of the dialogue. We know what the two of them have been through, so seeing them bring these things up during the fight is familiar and relatably painful. Louis' high, Armand's weary, and then the crescendo. There's no big action scene. It's a conversation between two very hurt individuals. When you've done the work to get an audience to care for your characters, you've set the stakes, you've given us a reason to care for them, well, a single line can leave a character destroyed. And in doing so, you can also devastate your audience, as they, through great storytelling, have been placed into the shoes of your character, feeling the emotion behind each word, knowing the impact and the weight that it will bring if one character crossed the line. The natural flow, the back and forth, the raised voices, and the overall delivery in this show is, in my opinion, key to its success at ripping our hearts out. So, if you've ever wanted to understand how or why this show is so effective and emotionally devastating its audience, I hope this video has helped. If you've enjoyed it, please let me know by hitting like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks, bye!